There is a dangerous kind of control that most people never notice. It does not happen when someone controls your money, your decisions, or your future. It happens when one person can ruin your entire day with a sentence. They ignore you, and you lose your peace. They disrespect you, and you replay it for hours. They become distant, and suddenly you start questioning your worth. They provoke you, and before you realize it, they are controlling your emotions without even touching your life. And here is the painful truth. Sometimes the person disturbing your peace is not powerful at all. You are the one giving them the power. Every time their behavior decides your mood, you hand them another piece of control. Every time you react to something designed to provoke you, you give them exactly what they wanted. Every time you spend the night thinking about what they said while they are sleeping peacefully, you are paying for their behavior with your own peace. But Islam teaches us something much deeper. Your heart was never meant to become a playground for every person who misunderstands you, disappoints you, disrespects you, or tries to pull a reaction out of you. Your peace should not depend on someone else's mood. Your worth should not rise and fall according to someone else's attention. And your heart should not remain disturbed simply because another person does not know how to treat it properly. So before another person steals another peaceful day from your life, understand these 7 lessons. Because once you see where people get their power over your emotions, you can finally stop giving it to them. Lesson 1. Never hand anyone the remote control to your peace. Imagine your peace is like a television and you are holding the remote control. You decide what stays on the screen. You decide when to change the channel. You decide when to lower the volume. But many people live as if that remote control is in somebody else's hand. Someone ignores their message and suddenly their mood changes. Someone speaks badly to them and the whole day becomes heavy. Someone does not appreciate them and they begin questioning their value. Someone posts something online, says something indirectly or behaves coldly, and immediately they lose their peace. This is how we unknowingly give people power over us. When another person can change your mood whenever they want, they have too much control over your emotional life. They may not even know they have that power. Sometimes they are simply living their life while you are spending hours thinking about what they said, what they meant, why they behaved that way, and what you should say back. You have to understand something very important. People will not always behave the way you want them to behave. Some people will misunderstand you. Some will judge you without knowing your story. Some will disappoint you after promising they never would. Some will become distant. Some will change. Some will speak carelessly. Some may even intentionally try to hurt you. You cannot control all of that, but you can decide how much access their behavior gets to your heart. Suppose someone sends you a rude message. Your first thought may be, how dare they speak to me like that? Then you read it again. You think about it while eating. You tell someone else about it. You imagine 10 different replies. You check your phone to see whether they have sent another message. The rude message lasted 20 seconds, but you allowed it to disturb you for 6 hours. That is the part you have to change. You do not become peaceful by making everybody around you behave perfectly. That will never happen. You become peaceful by becoming careful about what you allow to control you. Ask yourself a simple question whenever someone disturbs you. Do I really want this person deciding how I feel today? Sometimes that question alone will wake you up. Maybe they are angry. Let them be angry. Maybe they misunderstood you. If explaining once is enough, explain once. If they are determined to misunderstand you, stop exhausting yourself. Maybe they do not value you. That hurts. But their inability to value you does not remove your value. Maybe they are trying to get a reaction. Do not hand them one automatically. Your peace should not be available to everyone who knows how to press the right button. This does not mean becoming emotionless. It does not mean pretending that nothing hurts. You are human. Words can hurt. Rejection can hurt. Betrayal can hurt. Disrespect can hurt. The lesson is not never feel pain. The lesson is do not let the pain become your master. Feel what you need to feel, but do not give another human being complete authority over your inner state. There will be days when somebody does something disappointing and you will feel your heart becoming heavy. In that moment, slow yourself down. Instead of immediately calling them, arguing, posting something, or sending a long paragraph, give yourself space. Say, I am upset right now. I do not need to make a decision while I am upset. That is strength. Sometimes emotional strength looks very quiet. It looks like putting the phone down. It looks like making wudu. It looks like praying before replying. It looks like going for a walk instead of beginning an argument. It looks like saying, I will deal with this when my mind is calm. Your peace becomes stronger when you stop allowing every person to enter it without permission. Allah gave you a heart to protect, not to place in the hands of every changing person. People will change their opinions. People will change their moods. People will change their promises. If your peace depends completely on people being consistent, your peace will always be unstable. Keep the remote control in your own hand. You may not control what appears around you, but you can control how long you allow it to stay on the screen of your mind. Lesson 2. Stop giving every action an emotional reaction. Not everything deserves a reaction. This sounds simple, but it can completely change your life. Many people are tired not because life is always extremely difficult, but because they react emotionally to almost everything. A strange look becomes a problem. A delayed reply becomes a problem. Someone using the wrong tone becomes a problem. Someone disagreeing becomes a problem. Someone not inviting them becomes a problem. Someone saying something careless becomes a problem. By the end of the day, they have fought 10 emotional battles that never needed to happen. You need to learn the difference between something you notice and something you must respond to. You can notice disrespect without beginning a war. You can notice that someone has changed without chasing them for an explanation. You can notice that somebody is trying to provoke you without giving them the reaction they wanted. You can notice that a person has disappointed you and simply adjust your expectations. Not every action requires your emotional energy. Imagine someone walks past you and does not greet you. Immediately your mind says, why did they ignore me? What have I done? Are they angry with me? Maybe they did not see you. Maybe they were distracted. Maybe they were having a terrible day. Maybe they were thinking about their own problems. But because your mind wanted an explanation, it created one. This happens all the time. We react to meanings that we invented ourselves. That is why emotional control is so important. Before reacting, ask yourself, what do I actually know? Not what do I assume? Not what do I fear? Not what does my imagination say? What do I actually know? Sometimes you will realize you know almost nothing. Another useful question is, will reacting improve this situation? If your reaction will only create more anger, more words, more confusion, and more regret, maybe silence is the wiser answer. There are people who understand your emotional buttons very well. They know what sentence will irritate you. They know what topic will upset you. They know what action will make you respond. If you react every single time, you become easy to control. Someone insults you and you insult them back. Someone raises their voice and you raise yours higher. Someone becomes cold and you immediately become desperate for their attention. Someone tries to make you jealous and you begin proving yourself. They move and you move. They speak and you react. They become distant and you chase. Where is your control? You need a gap between what happens and what you do next. That small gap can protect relationships, protect your dignity, and protect your peace. When something happens, do not immediately ask, how should I respond? First ask, does this even deserve a response? That one question can save you from many unnecessary problems. Sometimes the strongest response is no response. Sometimes the wisest reply is okay. Sometimes you simply smile and continue with your day. Sometimes you leave the message unanswered until you are calm. Sometimes you understand that the person is speaking from their own anger, insecurity, or pain, and you refuse to carry it. You do not have to attend every argument you are invited to. If someone wants to fight and you refuse to fight, the battle cannot continue in the same way. Of course, there are situations where you should speak. If someone crosses an important boundary, address it. If something serious needs to be corrected, correct it. If your rights are being violated, take appropriate action. But speaking with purpose is different from reacting emotionally. One comes from clarity, the other comes from heat. A purposeful response sounds like, I did not appreciate how you spoke to me. Please do not speak to me that way again. An emotional reaction sounds like, you always do this. You are impossible. I cannot believe you. One protects your dignity. The other often creates regret. Train yourself to pause. Even 5 seconds can change what comes out of your mouth. When you feel anger rising, take a breath. When you feel offended, do not rush. When you feel the need to prove yourself, ask why. When you feel the urge to send the long message, save it and read it later. You will be surprised how many things no longer feel important once your emotions settle. Your peace becomes much stronger when every small action around you stops receiving a large emotional reaction from you. Lesson 3. Ignore what was designed to provoke you. Some things happen accidentally. Other things are designed to get a reaction from you. Wisdom is learning the difference. There are people who provoke others because they enjoy seeing them react. Sometimes they use direct insults. Sometimes they use sarcasm. Sometimes they mention something they know is sensitive. Sometimes they post something online hoping you will notice. Sometimes they compare you with someone else. Sometimes they bring up an old mistake because they know it still hurts. They are looking for emotional movement, and the moment you give them that emotional movement, they know the button still works. Suppose someone knows you are sensitive about being excluded. They intentionally talk in front of you about an event you were not invited to. Your heart may immediately feel something. You may want to ask, why wasn't I invited? You may want to become angry. You may want to show that you do not care. But even trying too hard to show that you do not care can reveal that you do. The stronger response may simply be calmness. Not fake calmness, real calmness that comes from understanding. My worth did not decrease because somebody excluded me. Or maybe a person keeps making small comments about your appearance, your work, your marriage, your money, your past, or something else they know bothers you. If every comment receives a reaction, they keep using it. But when the reaction disappears, the weapon becomes less powerful. This is not about allowing abuse or staying in harmful situations. Serious mistreatment should be addressed. Boundaries matter. Distance may be necessary. The lesson is about refusing to become emotionally controlled by deliberate provocation. When you know somebody wants to upset you, ask yourself, what are they hoping I will do right now? Maybe they want you to shout. Maybe they want you to defend yourself for 20 minutes. Maybe they want you to become jealous. Maybe they want you to lose your dignity. Maybe they want proof that they can still control you. Then do something different. Stay calm. Leave the room. Change the subject. Give a short answer. Do not argue. Protect your energy. You do not need to prove that you are strong by fighting every person who tests you. Sometimes strength is allowing someone to think they won while you quietly keep your peace. People may say, but if I stay silent, they will think I am weak. Let them think. You cannot spend your entire life correcting other people's interpretation of you. A person who needs to provoke you in order to feel powerful is already showing you something about themselves. You do not have to join them. Imagine two people standing beside a muddy puddle. One person wants to throw mud at the other. If the other person jumps into the puddle and begins throwing mud back, both become dirty. Walking away does not mean the mud thrower was right. It means you decided you did not want to become like them. That is emotional maturity. There is another kind of provocation that happens inside families and close relationships. Because people know you well, they may know exactly which old story to mention. Maybe they say, you have always been too sensitive. You immediately want to defend your entire history. Or they say, nobody else has a problem with me. You are the only one. Now you begin doubting yourself. Or they say, you think you are better than everyone now, and suddenly you feel guilty for having boundaries. Do not automatically accept every sentence somebody throws at you. People speak from their own perspective. Sometimes their words are accurate and you should reflect. Sometimes their words are manipulation. Sometimes they are simply angry. You have to become calm enough to know the difference. You can say, I will think about what you said without agreeing. You can say, I do not want to discuss this while we are both upset. You can say, I understand that is your opinion, and then stop. There is enormous peace in realizing you do not have to answer everything. Your silence is not always weakness. Your distance is not always hatred. Your calmness is not always surrender. Sometimes ignoring provocation is simply refusing to give someone the emotional reward they came looking for. Lesson 4. Stop fighting battles that only steal your energy. Not every battle is worth winning. Some battles cost more than the victory is worth. You can prove your point and still lose your peace. You can win the argument and damage the relationship. You can make someone admit they were wrong and spend 3 days emotionally exhausted. You can keep explaining yourself to someone who never intended to understand you. At some point you have to ask, what am I actually fighting for? Many people are fighting battles from years ago. They are still trying to make somebody understand how badly they were hurt. They are still trying to prove that they were treated unfairly. They are still replaying conversations in their head. They imagine what they should have said. They imagine the apology they wish they had received. They imagine the day the other person finally understands what they did. But while the other person may have moved on, they are still fighting. This is one of the saddest ways we lose our peace. You can be physically far away from someone while emotionally arguing with them every day. You wake up thinking about them. You drive while replaying what happened. You lie in bed imagining another conversation. That person may not be in your house, but they are still living in your mind. You have to stop certain battles because continuing them is only hurting you. This does not mean what happened was acceptable. It does not mean you are saying the other person was right. It means you have decided your future deserves more energy than your past. There are also small daily battles that steal peace. Arguing with strangers online, trying to correct every wrong opinion, defending yourself against every rumor, explaining your life choices to people who have no responsibility for your life, trying to make everybody approve of you, trying to make a stubborn person admit they are stubborn. These battles can consume enormous emotional energy. Suppose someone misunderstands your decision. You explain yourself once. They still disagree. You explain again. They disagree again. You send another message. They send another message. 3 hours later, nothing has changed except your peace is gone. Sometimes you have to say, they are allowed to disagree with me. That sentence can free you. You do not need universal approval to make a healthy decision. You do not need everybody to clap when you protect yourself. You do not need every relative, friend, co-worker, or stranger to understand your boundaries. If your decision is responsible, respectful, and pleasing to Allah, you cannot spend your life trying to receive permission from everyone else. Choose your battles carefully. Ask 4 simple questions. Is this important? Can something useful actually come from this? Am I speaking to solve the problem or just to prove I am right? Will I be happy that I spent my energy on this tomorrow? Sometimes the answer will be yes. Some situations need courage. Some wrong things must be addressed. Some conversations are necessary. But many times you will realize you are fighting because your ego does not want to let go. Someone must know you were right. Someone must admit they hurt you. Someone must apologize exactly the way you want. Someone must understand your side. That must can keep you trapped. You cannot force another person to develop awareness. You cannot force maturity. You cannot force remorse. You cannot force someone to see a situation through your eyes. Do what you can, then leave what you cannot control. Save your strength for things that deserve it. Your family, your faith, your health, your goals, your responsibilities, your character, your future. Every unnecessary argument takes energy away from something more valuable. Think of your emotional energy like money. If you only had a small amount every day, would you spend it all arguing with someone who does not listen? Probably not. Treat your energy with the same care. Some battles should be fought, some should be discussed calmly, and some should be left exactly where they are. Knowing which one is which is part of wisdom. Lesson 5. Peace begins when you stop taking everything personally. One of the fastest ways to lose peace is to believe everything people do is about you. Someone becomes quiet and you think you did something wrong. Someone cancels a plan and you think they no longer care. Someone does not reply quickly and you assume you are being ignored. Someone is in a bad mood and you begin asking yourself what you did. Someone does not praise you and you feel unappreciated. But people have lives inside their own minds that you cannot see. They have worries. They have family problems. They have money problems. They have insecurities. They have health concerns. They have bad days. They have memories. They have pressure. They have fears. Sometimes a person's behavior has very little to do with you. Learning this can bring enormous peace. Imagine your friend replies with one short sentence. Normally they write a lot. You immediately think something is wrong. Then your mind starts working. Maybe I offended them. Maybe they are tired of me. Maybe someone said something about me. Then you spend the next hour anxious. Later you discover they were simply busy. Your suffering came from a story your mind created. This does not mean you should ignore clear patterns. If someone repeatedly mistreats you, pay attention. If their actions continually disrespect you, take it seriously. but do not turn every small change into a personal attack. People are sometimes fighting battles you know nothing about. And even when somebody is behaving badly toward you, their behavior often says more about their character than your worth. If someone lies to you, that reveals something about their honesty. If someone constantly belittles you, that reveals something about their heart. If someone cannot appreciate kindness, that reveals something about their ability to value it. You do not need to turn every weakness in another person into evidence that something is wrong with you. Imagine giving someone a beautiful gift and they throw it aside. Does their reaction automatically mean the gift had no value? No. Maybe they did not understand its value. Maybe they did not want it. Maybe they were careless. The reaction of the receiver does not always determine the value of what was given. The same is true with your kindness. You can be sincere and still be misunderstood. You can be loyal and still be left. You can be respectful and still meet disrespectful people. You can love someone and still not be the right person for them. Do not make every outcome a judgment of your worth. Sometimes two people simply do not fit. Sometimes timing is wrong. Sometimes expectations are different. Sometimes Allah is protecting you from something you cannot see. When you stop taking everything personally, your mind becomes quieter. Instead of asking, what is wrong with me? Every time somebody changes, ask, what else could be happening here? That question opens your mind. Maybe they are struggling. Maybe they need space. Maybe they are simply different from you. Maybe the relationship is changing. Maybe there is something you need to learn. Maybe there is nothing you need to do at all. And when something truly is personal, you can still handle it without destroying yourself. If somebody says, I am upset because of something you did, listen. If you were wrong, apologize. If you need to improve, improve. But do not turn one mistake into a complete attack on your identity. You can say, I did something wrong without saying, I am worthless. You can say, I need to improve without saying, I am a terrible person. Healthy self-reflection brings growth. Taking everything personally brings emotional exhaustion. Not everything is about you. Not every silence is rejection. Not every change is betrayal. Not every disagreement is disrespect. Not every person who leaves is proof that you were not enough. Sometimes peace begins when you stop standing in the center of every situation and understand that everybody else is also carrying a world inside them. Lesson 6. Learn to walk away without carrying their chaos. Walking away physically is sometimes easy. Walking away mentally is harder. You can leave a room while still carrying the argument. You can block a person while still thinking about them every day. You can end a relationship while continuing to have imaginary conversations with them for months. You can move forward with your body while your mind remains behind. Real peace comes when you learn to walk away without carrying their chaos with you. Suppose someone speaks to you badly. You decide not to argue and you leave. That is good. But then you spend the rest of the day repeating their words. Why did they say that? I should have told them this. Next time I will say that. Now their chaos followed you home. You left the person, but you carried the problem. This is where deeper emotional discipline begins. After you remove yourself from an unhealthy situation, you have to stop feeding it inside your mind. That may take time, especially when the pain is deep. Healing is not a switch, but you can stop intentionally reopening the wound every hour. Do not keep checking their social media. Do not keep asking mutual friends about them. Do not keep reading old messages. Do not keep looking for hidden meanings. Do not keep imagining how happy they are without you. Every time you do this, you invite the chaos back into your heart. You cannot ask Allah for peace while repeatedly returning to the same door that destroys it. Sometimes walking away means accepting that you may never receive the explanation you wanted. That is difficult. Human beings like complete endings. We want to know exactly why someone changed. We want to know why they lied. We want to know what we lacked. We want a final conversation where everything makes sense. But life does not always give you that. Sometimes the person who hurt you cannot give you closure because they do not even understand themselves. Sometimes they will never apologize. Sometimes their explanation will create more questions. Sometimes closure has to come from your own acceptance. You say, I may never understand everything, but I understand enough to know this is no longer healthy for me. That can be enough. Walking away with peace also means refusing to become bitter. This part is important. You can leave someone and still carry hatred. You can stop speaking to someone but secretly hope they fail. You can remove yourself from a harmful relationship but continue wishing pain on the other person. That means the relationship is still affecting the kind of person you are becoming. Do not allow somebody else's behavior to turn your heart into something you do not recognize. Protect yourself without becoming cruel. Set boundaries without becoming arrogant. Leave when necessary without spending the next 5 years speaking badly about them. You do not need revenge to prove that you were hurt. Allah knows what happened. Allah knows what you gave. Allah knows what you lost. Allah knows what was said privately. You do not need to become the judge of everybody who wronged you. Your responsibility is to protect your character. Sometimes the cleanest way to walk away is to say very little. No dramatic announcement, no 20-paragraph message, no campaign to make everybody choose your side. You simply understand, this situation is disturbing the person I am trying to become, and you step away. Then you rebuild. You return to your salah. You return to your routine. You return to healthy people. You return to your responsibilities. You return to the things that make your life meaningful. You stop allowing one painful chapter to become the title of the entire book. The person who brought chaos into your life does not deserve to live in your mind forever. Walk away from what you must walk away from. But when you leave, do not pack their chaos in your suitcase. Lesson 7. Let Allah be greater than what people do to you. The deepest form of peace begins when Allah becomes greater in your heart than the people who hurt you. Many of our emotional struggles become enormous because we make people too important. We make their approval too important. Their rejection becomes too important. Their words become too important. Their presence becomes too important. Their absence becomes too important. Their opinion becomes too important. Without realizing it, we start allowing a human being to occupy a place in our heart that should belong to Allah. Then when that person changes, everything inside us collapses. You may say, I cannot be happy because this person left. I cannot move forward because they hurt me. I cannot feel peaceful until they apologize. I cannot enjoy anything because they no longer care. Look carefully at those sentences. Your peace has become dependent on another human being doing something. But what happens if they never do it? Will you give them the rest of your life too? People are limited. They can love you today and feel different tomorrow. They can promise you something and fail. They can misunderstand your intentions. They can disappoint you without meaning to. They can leave this world. If your entire emotional foundation is built on people, that foundation will always shake. Your connection with Allah gives you something deeper. It reminds you that even when somebody closes a door, your life is not closed. Even when somebody rejects you, Allah has not abandoned you. Even when somebody misunderstands you, Allah knows exactly what is inside your heart. Even when nobody sees your tears, Allah sees them. Even when the future feels uncertain, Allah already knows what is ahead. This does not remove pain immediately. Faith does not mean you never cry. It does not mean betrayal suddenly feels comfortable. It does not mean loss stops hurting. Faith gives pain somewhere to go. Instead of carrying everything alone, you take it to Allah. When someone hurts you, speak to Allah before speaking about them to everybody else. Tell Allah what you are feeling. Ask Him to protect your heart from bitterness. Ask Him to show you what this experience is teaching you. Ask Him to remove unhealthy attachment. Ask Him to replace what was lost with what is better for your faith and your life. Sometimes the biggest reason people disturb our peace is that we expect from people what only Allah can perfectly give. We expect people never to leave. People leave. We expect people always to understand. People misunderstand. We expect people never to disappoint us. People are imperfect. We expect people to heal every emptiness inside us. They cannot. When Allah becomes the center, you can love people without worshipping their presence. You can appreciate people without depending on them for your entire identity. You can be grateful when they stay without becoming destroyed when they leave. You can forgive without needing them to become part of your life again. You can set boundaries without hatred. You can move forward without knowing every answer. Imagine someone treated you unfairly. Your natural desire may be to keep thinking about justice. Will they ever understand? Will they ever regret it? Will they ever experience what they did to me? But constantly waiting for another person to suffer keeps you connected to them. Instead, remind yourself, Allah saw everything. That sentence changes the weight. You do not need to see every outcome. You do not need to know how every story ends. You can trust Allah with what is beyond your control. There is great peace in saying, I did what I could. The rest belongs to Allah. If you need to apologize, apologize. If you need to correct yourself, correct yourself. If you need to leave, leave. If you need to forgive, work toward forgiveness. If you need distance, create distance. Then stop trying to control everything that comes after. Allah may remove certain people because keeping them would have cost you more. Allah may allow disappointment to teach you where you placed too much dependence. Allah may allow a door to close because you were standing in front of that door so long you forgot there were other directions your life could take. You do not always understand while you are hurting. Sometimes understanding comes later. Your job is not to understand every detail immediately. Your job is to remain connected to Allah while life is confusing. When people hurt you, do not let that hurt push you away from the one who can heal you. When people disappoint you, do not let disappointment make your heart hard. When people leave, do not believe everything meaningful has left with them. Allah is still there. Your purpose is still there. Your ability to rebuild is still there. Your future is still there. Your dua is still there. Your relationship with Allah is still there. The more your heart understands this, the less power people have over your peace. You stop begging everyone to behave the way you need them to behave. You stop chasing every person who becomes distant. You stop collapsing every time someone changes their opinion of you. You become able to say, people may change, but my Lord does not change. People may misunderstand me, but Allah knows me. People may leave, but Allah can guide me through what comes next. People may hurt me, but they do not control the rest of my story. That is where emotional freedom begins. Not when everyone finally treats you perfectly. Not when every person apologizes. Not when nobody ever disappoints you again. Peace begins when people stop being bigger in your heart than Allah. Protect your peace. Not everyone deserves access to your emotions, your energy, or your heart. Let people misunderstand you if they choose. Let them walk away if they must. But never allow their behavior to pull you away from Allah, from your dignity, or from the person you are becoming. When Allah becomes greater in your heart than what people do to you, peace becomes much harder to steal.